So we are doing, this is the video for lesson 90 for Algebra 1. It's not due until Monday the 14th. So you're going to be adding and subtracting rational expressions. So rational expressions are just fractions that have variables in them. So when you add fractions, the thing about adding fractions is you've got to have a common denominator. So on this one, it's got a common denominator, which is 20x. So we simply add the numerators, which would be 5x squared over 20x, and then you reduce what you can. So 5 can go into 20 and leave a 4, x can go into x squared and leave an x. So that leaves x over 4 for a final answer. So you have to make sure, just like with any fraction, that you reduce what you can. Again, looking for like denominators, add them and then reduce if you can. So let's see, 7y over 4y squared plus 3y over 4y squared. So again, you're looking for a common denominator. This has a common denominator. So you add your numerators, you add 7y and 3y, and you get 10y over 4y squared. Then y would come out of 4y squared and leave a y, and then you can take a 2 out of 10 and a 2 out of the 4. So it would leave a 5 over 2y is what that final answer would be on that one, 5 over 2y. Okay, then let me go ahead and erase this so we don't get confused. So we can have problems that look like 3a minus 2 over a plus 1 minus a minus 6 over a plus 2. I said a plus 1, it's a plus 2. So again, looking for a common denominator. So this is my common denominator, a plus 2. So I just write down a plus 2 because that's my common denominator. It doesn't change. This minus sign right here goes through. You have to be very, very careful when that's a subtraction sign. It needs to go through. It's going to change the a to a negative and the 6 to a positive. So it's going to change those signs. And then 3a minus a would be 2a. And negative 2 plus 6 would be a plus 4. Now, just like with any fraction, you have to try to reduce it, which means we've got to try to factor the numerator, which we can take a 2 out. That leaves a plus 2. And then we have a plus 2 in the denominator. So then a plus 2 cancels a plus 2, and you're just left with 2. On that one, you're just left with 2. Okay, let's try another one like that. 21 plus 3g over 5 plus g minus 1 minus g over 5 plus g. So 21 plus 3g, that's 5. 21 plus 3g minus, or over 5 plus g, this is 5 plus g, minus 1 minus g over 5 plus g. So again, my denominator is the same, so 5 plus g. That subtraction sign changes the 1 to a negative and the g to a positive, and then you combine like terms. 21 minus 1 is 20. And 3g plus g is 4g. Then again, got to try to factor it. Well, I can take a 4 out of 20 in the 4, so that would take a 4 out. 4 out of 20 leaves a 5. 4 out of 4g leaves a g. And then I put the 5 plus g back in the numerator, 5 plus g here, and I just shift it over. These cancel. You're left with 4. Okie dokie. Then you're going to have some factorable denominators. 2k squared over k squared plus 5k minus 24 minus 6k over k squared plus 5k minus 24. So again, what we're focused on is that my denominators are the same. They're both k squared plus 5k minus 24. So since they are the same, we're going to deal with the numerators, which the only thing we can do with the numerators is write down 2k squared minus 6k because they're not like terms. And then k squared plus 5k minus 24. So then we factor. We have to factor. We've done that before. We got to factor the numerator, factor the denominator. In the numerator, I can take a 2k out of both of them. So when I take a 2k out, that leaves k minus 3. 2k out of 2k squared leaves k, and 2k out of 6k leaves 3. And then k squared plus 5k minus 28 would be k plus 8, k minus 3. Again, that's factoring stuff that you've done before. That's one reason why I did want to go over this lesson, because it goes over factoring again. You need to see factoring, you need to be able to factor, and you need to be able to factor and cancel. The k minus 3's cancel. So you're left with 2k over x plus 8. Okay, let's try another one like that, where we have a big factorable denominator. Let's see. This is z cubed minus 10z squared, and my denominator is z squared minus 3z minus 18. I am adding 4z squared. I'm adding 4z squared. My denominator is still z squared minus 3z minus 18. So there's the problem right there. Z cubed minus 10z squared over z squared minus 3z minus 18, and then 4z squared over z squared minus 3z minus 18. So again, my denominators are the same, so I'm just going to write that denominator down, z squared minus 3z minus 18. And then I'm going to combine like terms in the numerator because we have like terms. We have a negative 10z squared and a positive 4z squared, a negative 10z squared and a positive 4z squared. So z cubed minus 6z squared. Okay, because negative 10z squared plus 4z squared, negative 6z squared. Then factor. We can factor a z squared out. So we take z squared, that leaves z minus 6. Because I take z squared out of z cubed, it leaves a z. And I take z squared out of 6z squared, and it leaves a minus 6. Over factoring the z squared minus 3z minus 18, that's z minus 6, z plus 3. Because negative 6 times 3 is the negative 18 we need, and negative 6 times 3 is negative 18, and negative 6 plus 3 is a negative 3 that we need. Then cancel what you can, z minus 6. So z squared over z plus 3. Z squared over z plus 3. Okay, so those were all like denominators. Now we're going to look at a few that don't have like denominators. And I'm going to show you, I think there's a couple of different ways to do it, but I'm actually going to want us to reduce first. Because then it'll make everything easier. When your denominators are not the same, try to reduce each fraction first. And that's a 4, guys. That's 2h to the 4th. That's a 4. So I would reduce these first. For example, 2 goes into 6 and leaves a 3. H goes into h to the 4th and leaves an h cubed. So this is just h cubed over 3 now. Okay? Do the same thing on this one. 2 goes out of 4 and leaves a 2. And then the h squareds cancel. So you're just left with 2. You're just left with 2 over 1. Okay? We still need to find a common denominator, but my common denominator is way easier to find than it was up here. My common denominator right now is just 3. So I just need to multiply top and bottom by 3. So I would have h cubed plus 6 all over 3. And that's where you would stop. That's where you would leave it. You couldn't do anything else. You can't cancel the 3 into the 6 because that would be canceling an addition with a division, and you can't do that. So that's the way that turns out. So let's try another one like that because there was a lot to it. 1 over 5x cubed plus 4x over 10x. 1 over 5x cubed plus 4x over 10x. So again, my suggestion, reduce if you can, which on the first one we can't reduce. So it stays as 1 over 5x cubed. The second one you can. The x's cancel. You can take a 2 out of 4 and leave a 2. You can take a 2 out of 10 and leave a 5, so it'd be 2 over 5. So I still don't have a like denominator, but all this 5 needs is that x cubed. That's all it needs. The 5 to be 5x cubed needs an x cubed. So you're going to multiply top and bottom by x cubed. So then my denominator is 5x cubed like it should be, because that's 5x cubed and that's 5x cubed now. And then you'd have 1 plus 2x cubed. Again, do not cancel those. You can't cancel those. You'd be canceling. You'd be trying to cancel this addition, and you can't do that. So you leave it just like that. Let's see some more where the denominators are not alike. So x plus 3 over x minus 4 minus 2 over x squared plus x minus 20. So on this one, you've got to look at your denominators, both of your denominators. You can't reduce on any of this. You got to look at both of your denominators and try to factor. This one doesn't factor, this one does. This one factors into x plus 5, x minus 4. Because positive 5 times negative 4 is negative 20, and positive 5 minus 4 is positive 1. Okay? So now we're looking at these. So then we want the common denominator. We want to find the common denominator. Okay? Well, we take what's here. So we take the x plus 5, and we take one of the x minus 4s. So that's my common denominator. That's my least common denominator. X plus 5, x minus 4, that has an x minus 4. Okay, so we want this denominator to look like this denominator. We want this x minus 4 to look like x plus 5x minus 4. So just look at what it's missing. It has the x minus 4, it needs the x plus 5. So we're going to multiply top and bottom by x plus 5. We're always going to leave the denominator factored, so don't worry about that. On the top, you're going to do FOIL, which you should know how to do FOIL. X times x is x squared. X times 3 is 3x. 5 times x is 5x. And 5 times 3 is 15. Then we look at the second fraction. It doesn't need anything. It's got the x plus 5, it got the x minus 4, so we just put the minus 2. We just put that numerator there. And then we combine like terms. So x squared plus 8x plus 13 over x plus 5, x minus 4. We can't do anything else because this doesn't factor. Otherwise, we try to factor that numerator and cancel what we can. Okay? So let's see. X plus 3 over x minus 1 minus x plus 5 over x squared plus 8x minus 9. X plus 3 over x minus 1 minus x plus 5 over x squared plus 8x minus 9. So again, that one doesn't factor, this one does. So x plus 9, x minus 1. And then we need a common denominator. So x plus 9, x minus 1, and that's got an x minus 1. So my common denominator would be x plus 9, x minus 1. That's my common denominator. So then we look at the denominators and see what's missing. This has the x plus 9, x minus 1. This needs the x plus 9. So x plus 9, x plus 9. Again, leave the denominator factored. FOIL the numerator. X times x is x squared. X times 3 is 3x. 9 times x is 9x. And 9 times 3 is 27. So that's just foiling that, okay? Then on the second part, it doesn't need anything else. It's got the right denominator. So we take that subtraction sign through. So it's going to make it a minus x minus 5. It's going to change both of those signs. It's going to make that a minus x and a minus 5. Then combining like terms, x squared, 3x and 9x is 12x, minus x would be 11x, and then 27 minus 5 is 22 over x plus 9, x minus 1. 22, the only factors of 22 are 1 and 22 or 2 and 11, and none of them would give you 11, so that doesn't factor, so we stop right there, okay? Okay, so then there's one more type I want to show you. 8 over v minus 4 plus v minus 7 over 4 minus v. So, not x, v. So these denominators look almost alike, but the signs are off. Like here v is positive, here v is negative. Here v is negative, here 4 is negative, here 4 is positive. So they're off by signs. If they're off by signs, all you have to do is pick one. You either pick the first one or the second one. I always pick the second one because that's just what I do. And change every sign in it. So we're going to make the 4 a negative. We're going to make the v a positive. We're going to make this v a negative and that 7 a positive. So now my denominators are alike. They may not be in the same order, but they're alike because my 4's are both negative and my v's are both positive. So I'm going to call it v minus 4 in the denominator. And then I just combine like terms in the numerator, which would be the 8 and the 7. So I'd have negative v plus 15. Nothing else you can do. You leave it just like that. So let's try another one. 6 over a minus 3 plus 4a over 3 minus a. 6 over a minus 3 plus 4a over 3 minus a. So again, we're just off by signs. We're off on these two by signs. So again, I always pick the second one. You don't have to. You can pick the first one. It doesn't matter. But I pick the second one and change all of the signs, every one of the signs. Just like over here on this one, we changed all 4 signs. On this one, we change all 3 signs. That way now my 3's are both negative, my a's are positive. So my denominator is a minus 3, and then 6 minus 4a. There's nothing you can do from there. Even if you factor 2 out of this, you'd get 3 minus 2a, which couldn't cancel with the a minus 3. So we just leave it like that, okay? So that's all the notes. Now I want to go ahead and make the assignment and talk about some on the assignment. So let's see, lesson 90. You're going to do the warm-up, which is on page 592. We're going to do the practice right now together because I just want to talk through them and go over them again. So I'm going to walk you through the practice ones right now, and then I'll give you the rest of the assignment. 4mn over 24m plus 11mn over 24m. So that's A. That's what your book has for A right there. So since the denominators are alike, go ahead and combine like terms if you've got them in the numerator, which you actually do. You've got 4mn and you've got 11mn, so that would be 15mn over 24m. Then once you've combined like terms, try to cancel what you can. For example, the m's go. You can take a 3 out of 15 and leave a 5. You can take a 3 out of 24 and leave an 8. So it'd be 5n over 8. So that's A. Now for B. B is 7y minus 2 over y plus 6 minus y minus 38 over y plus 6. 7y minus 2 over y plus 6 minus y minus 38 over y plus 6. So again, we like it because it's got a common denominator. The denominator's the same. So y plus 6. And again, you've got to watch these subtraction signs. That subtraction sign is going to make the y a negative and the 38 a positive. And then you can change that to a plus or whatever, but it makes the y a negative and the 38 a positive. So then 7y minus y would be 6y, and negative 2 plus 38 would be a plus 36. Negative 2 plus 38 is plus 36. So now we have this, which we can factor. You should be getting to where you're used to going, oh, wait a minute, I see a 6 in here and I see a 6 in the 36. So take a 6 out, y plus 6. Then you have y plus 6 on the bottom. You take a 6 out. 6 out of 6y leaves y. 6 out of 36 leaves 6. Y plus 6 is gone. So your answer is 6. That's B. Now for C. Let's see. It is d to the 4th plus 2d cubed over d squared minus 5d minus 36. Let me make sure I got that right. Okay, plus 2d cubed over d squared minus 5d minus 36. So d to the 4th plus 2d cubed over d squared plus 5d minus 36. plus 2d cubed over d squared minus 5d minus 36. So again, we've got a common denominator, so I'm going to go ahead and write it down here. D squared minus 5d minus 36, and then combine like terms in the numerator, which you've got a 2d cubed and a 2d cubed, so it'd be d to the fourth plus 4d cubed. Combining those like terms, 2d cubed plus 2d cubed. Okay, so then factor the denominator, factors into d minus 9d plus 4, because the factors of negative 36 are negative 9 and 4, and when I combine them I get negative 5. And then factoring the numerator, you can take a d cubed out and you have d plus 4. So d plus 4 cancels. You're left with d cubed over d minus 9. Then on d, negative 3p over 6p squared plus 2p cubed over p to the fourth. Okay, so my denominators aren't the same. So if my denominators aren't the same, and I notice that I can cancel things, that's what I want to do, okay? So 3 can go into 6 and leave a 2, and p can go into p squared and leave a p. So that'd be negative 1 over 2p. A lot of you, when you cancel everything out of the numerator, you don't put a 1, and you've got to. So on the second one, I can do the same thing. P cubed out of p to the fourth leaves a p, so 2 over p. So still don't have like denominators, but the denominator here is easier to find than it is here. So this is a 2p, this is just a p, so I need to multiply by 2, so I can get 2p. So my denominator is 2p. My numerator is negative 1 plus 4, because 2 times 2 is 4. They're like terms, so negative 1 plus 4 is 3. So it'd be 3 over 2p. Then for e, x over x plus 3 minus 3 over x squared plus 5x plus 6. X over x plus 3 minus 3 over x squared plus 5x plus 6. So again, my denominators are not the same, so I factor this denominator, x plus 3x plus 2. And then I look to make my common denominator. So my common denominator is going to be x plus 3, x plus 2. That's my common denominator. So the first one has an x plus